Every morning, across the United States, a ritual takes place. From the high-rises of Manhattan to the suburbs of the Midwest, 150 million Americans reach for a cup of coffee. It's more than a drink. It's the chemical foundation of the American workforce. But while we've been busy waking up, a silent transformation has occurred on our supermarket shelves. The coffee industry has undergone a radical industrialization to keep prices low and shelf life eternal. Multi-billion-dollar corporations have stripped away the bean and replaced it with a laboratory-engineered cocktail. We've spent weeks analyzing the supply chains, the FDA loopholes, and the chemical additives found in the most popular brands in America. Today, we are exposing 11 U.S. coffee brands you must avoid. We're talking about coffee products that are actually 94% sugar, oil, and stabilizers. We're talking about hidden carcinogens, kidney-damaging phosphates, and mold toxins. If you think American families deserve better than floor-grade beans and industrial fillers, hit the like button and the hype button now. The food industry only responds to one thing: public pressure. Let's start the investigation. 1. Folgers Classic Roast Instant. Host. We begin with the king, Folgers. For over 170 years, this brand has defined American coffee. But the Folgers of 1850 is not the Folgers of 2026. Today, it's owned by the J.M. Smucker Company, and the focus has shifted from craft to volume. The deep dive, the Robusta problem. Most Folgers products rely heavily on Robusta beans. Unlike the delicate Arabica bean, Robusta is the workhorse of the industry. It's cheaper, easier to farm, and can grow in harsh conditions. But there's a catch. Because it's grown in massive, low-altitude industrial monocultures, it's often subjected to higher pesticide loads. The science of acrylamide. In 2018, a California court ruled that coffee companies must provide warnings about acrylamide. This chemical is a byproduct of high heat roasting and spray drying, the K-Cudi process Folgers uses to turn liquid coffee into instant granules. Spray drying involves blasting coffee through 400 degrees of air. This extreme heat creates a chemical reaction that can spike acrylamide levels, which the EPA classifies as a probable human carcinogen. When you drink this, you're trading your health for 30 seconds of convenience. 2. Maxwell House International Cafe French Vanilla. Host, good to the last drop. That was the slogan coined by Teddy Roosevelt. But if Teddy saw the ingredients list of a modern Maxwell House tin, he'd likely throw it in the trash. The label investigation. Flip the tin over. The first ingredient is sugar. The second is corn syrup solids. The third is hydrogenated coconut oil. Coffee doesn't appear until the middle of the list. The kidney connection. This brand contains dipotassium phosphate. In the food industry, this is a texturizer, but in the medical world, it's a concern. A study in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that inorganic phosphates, the kind used in processed coffee, are absorbed by our bodies with nearly 100% efficiency. This can lead to phosphate spikes that damage the lining of your blood vessels and put an enormous strain on your kidneys. You aren't drinking coffee. You're drinking a kidney-straining sugar syrup. Starbucks VA Instant Caramel Latte. Host, this is the brand people buy when they want to feel upscale. You pay a premium price for the Green Mermaid logo. But let's look at what's actually inside the sachet. The 6% Truth independent analysis shows that the actual coffee content in a Starbucks via latte sachet is roughly 5.8%. The other 94.2%, it's a mix of dairy solids, sugar, and natural flavors. The corporate puppet master. In 2018, Nestle, one of the largest food conglomerates on Earth, paid Starbucks $715 billion for the right to sell these products. When you buy this in a grocery store, you aren't getting the high-altitude Arabica from a Starbucks cafe. You are getting a Nestle-manufactured industrial powder. With 13 grams of sugar per sachet, 2 cups of this coffee contain more sugar than a standard chocolate bar. 4. Coffee Mate 3-in-1 Instant French Vanilla. Coffee Mate revolutionized the creamer industry, but their 3-in-1 sticks are a masterclass in deceptive labeling. The trans fat loophole. To make these shelf-stable and creamy, they use hydrogenated vegetable oils. Now listen closely because this affects your heart. The FDA allows companies to label a product as having ZOG trans fat if it contains less than 0.5 grams per serving. This is the zero not zero trap. If you drink several of these a day, those fractions of a gram add up, contributing to systemic inflammation and arterial plaque. It's a coffee that's essentially a liquid-saturated fat delivery system. 5. Dunkin' Pumpkin Spice Instant Sachets. Dunkin' is a cultural icon, especially in the Northeast, but their supermarket instant products contain an ingredient that is banned in several parts of the world. The carrageenan crisis. Dunkin's flavored mixes use carrageenan as a thickener. Derived from red seaweed, it sounds natural, but decades of research, including studies by Dr. Joanne Tobacman, have linked degraded carrageenan to intestinal ulcerations and inflammation. If you suffer from IBS or sensitive stomach, your morning Dunkin' might be the very thing keeping you sick. 6. Walmart Great Value Classic Instant. In a world of rising prices, Walmart's Great Value seems like a lifesaver. But how do they get the price so low? The floor-grade mystery. Walmart is a private label buyer. They don't grow beans. They buy from massive wholesalers. When a crop of coffee has high levels of defects, meaning beans that are broken, fermented, or moldy, they can't be sold as whole beans. Instead, they are sent to the instant facilities. The mycotoxin risk. Low-grade coffee is a breeding ground for ochratoxin a toxic byproduct of mold. This toxin is linked to kidney damage and is heat-stable, meaning the roasting process doesn't eliminate it. When you buy the cheapest jar on the shelf, you are effectively drinking the trash of the coffee world. 7. Café Bustelo Espresso Style Instant. Famous for its yellow tin and its espresso punch. But espresso style in the instant world is just a fancy way of saying darker roast, cheaper bean. The pesticide payload, because Bustelo uses high yield. Robusta from regions with lax environmental protections, the pesticide load is often much higher than in premium Arabica. In 2019, testing on mass market, coffee revealed traces of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. Because you're drinking a concentrated instant powder, you're potentially getting a concentrated dose of those agricultural chemicals. 8. Hillsboro's Cappuccino Mix, French Vanilla. Hillsboro's has been an American staple for over a century, but their cappuccino mix is a triumph of chemistry over agriculture. The sand in your mug. Flip the tin and you'll find silicon dioxide. This is an anti-caking agent. It is literally a form of silica, the same material found in quartz and sand. It's there to keep the powder from clumping in the warehouse. While it's technically safe for consumption, it's a stark reminder that this coffee has never seen a milk steamer. It's an industrial powder designed for a 5-year shelf life. 9. International Delight Iced Coffee, the chemical emulsion. While the dairy aisle location suggests fresh milk and brewed coffee, these cartons are better described as liquid shelf-stable emulsions. The SSL, sodium stearoyl lactylate problem. Sodium stearoyl lactylate, SSL, is a powerful surfactant. While the FDA classifies it as GRAS, generally recognized as safe, its inclusion in a beverage is a cost-saving measure to replace high-quality dairy fats, the glue of the food industry. SSL is most commonly found in industrial soaps and mass-produced bread. In bread, it's a dough conditioner that allows dough to be processed by machines without sticking. In your coffee, it ensures that the water, sugar, and cheap vegetable oils stay in a suspended state emulsion for months on the shelf. Gut health and inflammation. Emerging research into ultra-processed foods, UPFs, suggests that synthetic emulsifiers like SSL can erode the mucosal lining of the gut. This protective barrier prevents bacteria and toxins from entering the bloodstream. When this barrier is compromised, it can trigger systemic inflammation, often referred to as a leaky gut. The dairy substitute. By using SSL and thickening agents like gellan gum or carrageenan, manufacturers can use far less real cream. They recreate the mouthfeel of cream using chemistry, allowing them to sell a product that is mostly water and processed. Seed oils at a premium price. Out 10, Alpine Start and Outdoor blends, the glycemic trap. These brands target the outdoor enthusiast who values performance. However, the use of maltodextrin creates a metabolic profile that is counterproductive and potentially dangerous to physical activity. The maltodextrin deception. Maltodextrin is a polysaccharide produced from starch, usually corn or rice. On a food label, it doesn't have to be listed as sugar, allowing brands to claim low sugar or clean energy. The glycemic index, GI reality. Table sugar, sucrose, GI approx. 65. Pure glucose, GI Duke of 100. Maltodextrin, GI Nice 110 to 135. Metabolic flash and crash. Because maltodextrin has a higher GI than pure sugar, it enters the bloodstream with violent speed. For a hiker or climber, this creates a massive insulin spike. The safety risk. Once the insulin clears the sugar from your blood, you experience reactive hypoglycemia, a devastating crash. Symptoms: dizziness, shaky hands, mental fog, and sudden muscle weakness. Context: if you are 3 miles into a technical hike or halfway up a rock face, a sudden loss of coordination or a brain fog moment isn't just an inconvenience, it is a significant safety hazard. You aren't getting outdoor energy, you are riding a metabolic roller coaster. 11. Nescafé Taster's Choice, the Firan investigation. As the world's largest coffee producer, Nescafé uses industrial scale, manufacturing, spray drying, and freeze drying that prioritizes speed and yield over chemical purity. The chemistry of furans. Furans are volatile, toxic compounds that are a byproduct of the high heat treatment of food. They are classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, as a Group 2B possible human carcinogen. Industrial creation. Furans form when carbohydrates and amino acids are subjected to intense heat, the Maillard reaction. In traditional home brewing, these compounds are highly volatile and largely evaporate into the air. However, in the closed-loop industrial systems used to produce instant coffee crystals, furans are often trapped and concentrated. The regulatory gap, US versus EU. The EU, the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, has raised alarms, noting that coffee is the primary source of furan exposure for adults. They have established benchmark levels and are actively pressuring manufacturers to change their roasting and extraction methods to reduce furan counts. The US, the FDA has monitored furan levels for years but has yet to implement strict legal limits. American consumers are essentially drinking a version of a product that is under intense regulatory scrutiny in other parts of the developed world. Long-term concerns. Chronic exposure to furans has been linked in animal studies to hepatotoxicity, liver damage, and DNA damage. While a single cup isn't poison, the cumulative effect of a daily 3-cup habit over 20 years represents a significant chemical burden that most consumers never signed up for. Why the quality of coffee matters. Coffee isn't just caffeine. It is a complex chemical structure containing over 1,000 bioactive compounds. When processed correctly, it offers liver protection. Research suggests coffee consumption is linked to lower levels of liver enzymes and a reduced risk of cirrhosis. Antioxidant density. For many Americans, coffee is the primary source of antioxidants, like chlorogenic acid, in their diet, even surpassing fruits and vegetables. Cognitive support. Beyond the buzz, it is linked to a lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases. The problem with big coffee brands. The brands mentioned, Folgers, Maxwell House, etc., often prioritize shelf life and cost reduction over nutrient density. This leads to several issues. Fillers. Some pre-ground coffees have been found to contain bulking agents like roasted corn, husks, or even sawdust to pad the weight. Chemical solvents. Low-grade decaf or instant coffees often use methylene chloride or ethyl acetate to strip caffeine. Acrylamides and furans. High heat processing can create these chemical byproducts, which are classified as potential carcinogens. Deep dive, the action plan. 1. The whole bean strategy. When you buy pre-ground coffee, you are buying a product that began oxidizing the moment it was ground. Transparency. You can physically inspect a bean for mold, mycotoxins, or uneven roasting. The math. While a grinder and French press cost about $35 up front, you save money by using fewer beans for a stronger, more flavorful brew compared to watered-down instant packets. 2. Understanding. Instant, spray-dried versus freeze-dried. Most cheap instant coffees use spray drying, where liquid coffee is sprayed through a jet of hot air. This high heat destroys the delicate antioxidants and can increase furans. Freeze drying. This uses a cold vacuum process. It preserves the crystalline structure of the coffee, locking in the flavor and the health benefits without heat-induced chemical changes. 3. The first 3 rule. This is critical for coffee-adjacent products like 3-in-1 packets or creamers. Coffee Mate, International Delight. The red flags. If you see hydrogenated oils, corn syrup solids, or artificial flavors in the top 3 ingredients, you aren't drinking coffee. You're drinking a coffee-flavored oil suspension. The shock list, brand breakdown. The brands mentioned generally fall into two categories of concern. The purity gap as folgers. Maxwell House Cafe Bustelo often use Robusta beans grown with heavy pesticides and processed at high heat. The additive gap. Starbucks Via International Delight Coffee Mate, often loaded with sugars and emulsifiers that cause inflammation, offsetting the coffee's natural benefits. How to audit your pantry. Smell test. If your coffee smells like burnt rubber rather than earth chocolate fruit, it's likely over-roasted to hide poor quality beans.